Hey guys, what's up? Episode 26 of Mic Cuddles. Gillian the Savage Robertson with Dave Van Auken. Oh, I'm pointing the wrong way. This way.
What's up, G? How are you?
What's up? How are you doing?
Dude, you did that good, man. Your intro skills are amazing.
You know, I'm trying. I'm working.
Not even commentary pretty soon. You should be doing like the ring announcement and commentary. You're the Laura Sanko. You should take Laura Sanko's spot.
I was just about to say I'm gunning for her job.
I love it. I love it. How many people, that's so funny. How many people do you like fighters that probably talk to Laura on a daily or Buffer or Joe or John and be like, dude, I want to do that. I bet you they probably talk to a lot of people about that.
I bet you a lot of fighters. It's just something I feel like it's hard to get away from this world when you're out of the sport. So it's like when you leave, you want to do something like coaching, commentating, something where you're still like in the sport but not fighting actually.
I'm not even in the sport and I don't want to not be in it. Like I do whatever I can. Like it's just covering it, talking about it, talking with you guys about it, commentary, all this stuff. Like I just can't get enough. Like I don't want to. I couldn't imagine my life or of course your life without MMA. Like,
I'm like, I don't know what I would do literally from the time I wake up till the time I go to sleep, especially like if I have a fight coming up, it just absorbs my whole life. It absorbs everything, my like thought process, like what I'm eating, everything, like everything I do during the day. So honestly, without fighting, like I would be a lost puppy.
You would be, you would work at Chili's on the weekends and,
glorious Chili's.
All right. Crazy. All right. So that's kind of UFC 283's 36, 48 hours away. I'm so excited for it. The card's awesome, especially the main card. But I do want to kind of talk about the news that you and I kind of in the last 5 days, very fun. So I think the last time, you and I commentated on Island Fights, it was like last summer. Was it summer or fall?
Yeah, I believe it was around last summer.
I thought so. And then like you had a fight camp and then they had something else. And but Island Fights, February 3rd on a Friday night. It's back. The Gillian and Dave, Mic Cuddles is literally back commentating Island Fights. I'm pumped.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm like, I feel like, yeah, like you said, it's been a while. It's been since last summer. So I'm just so excited to get back out there and be able to do it again. Yeah. And for Island Fights too, I'm like, it's such a dope promotion.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so like that, it's not even giving the world more Gillian, right? We have to even give more. So the next day, we did it last time too. It was really cool. We packaged it together and it's weird because the fights are on Friday. So it's hard to do anything on a Thursday or a Friday because the show and it's during the week. Mm-hmm. So Saturday, a dope gym, BJJ Remedy up there in the Panhandle. So if anyone's watching this or from the Panhandle or can travel to it, Gillian's going to do a seminar the next morning at BJJ Remedy. And that's going to be awesome. That was super fun last time. I don't remember that much from it. I don't know what happened, but I remember the seminar of you was good.
Yeah, well, sometimes when you get choked out, your memory gets a little foggy. So maybe it was something like that.
You think I might train. I might call Gordon Ryan. I'm going to fly him into Daytona Beach. We're going to work night and day for the next, I got 3 weeks. I got like 20 days. I should be able my JIT skills in 20 days. Come on. But
yeah, you'll probably last like a good minute instead of 30 seconds this time, it'll definitely work.
Progress, like just progress. That's hey, you gave me a minute. I'll take it. Shit.
Yeah, it's baby steps,
Yes, baby steps. But that's cool. It's very cool news. Gillian and I are commentating back Island Fights. That's Friday, February 3rd. The next day, a seminar. That's gonna be really dope as well. So very cool, fun news. We'll do more. Well, probably like the week before the show, maybe we'll send out like Island Fight links or kind of talk about the card a tad, but like a lot of crazy stuff. So like I said, we still got to get into 283. You and I before talking about it, I don't remember. So it's been like 3 or 4 years, G, of like just covering MMA full time. And anytime news breaks, talk about it or do a show on it or podcast about it or write a post on it, whatever that comes up. Last weekend, Saturday, first show of the year, Strickland wins the main event, which was a great fight, by the way. Really cool card. But afterwards, during the day, the T-Mobile puts up a picture of John Jones versus Ciryl Gane for the heavyweight championship and writes it right on there. It's like, whoa. So that kind of news was breaking. And then, of course, Dana had to come and talk about it. So not even just the Jones gone thing, they also gave us like the Francis NGannou is done in the UFC, not working anymore. He might do something else. There's a lot there. We'll get even to Usman and Edwards that they completed. Also 2 other female championships. A crazy night, G. Like what's the first thing that comes to your head when all that came down?
What a way to break that there's different no UFC champion heavyweight champion at the moment.
I know.
I'm like just
light heavyweight and heavyweight.
Yeah, just posting it on about. Oh yeah, the exact same thing happened for what's coming up this weekend.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's crazy to see that. It's just like I don't know. The public's kind of out of the loop until everything's happened.
Yeah. Do you, as a fighter who's in the UFC, and of course, you know, I never want to get you in trouble or anything of that nature, but what's your take on Francis saying, hey, it's not about the money. Like they offered me a good deal. And even Francis even said on Ariel Helwani shows, like they offered me good money. It wasn't about money. It was about, he wanted like insurance and he wanted more kind of fighter rights. And he wanted just like, it sounds like honestly, like just a better relationship and respect, which, you know, I totally get it and understand, and being in business and family and a lot of stuff. So I really do get where he's coming from. Where do you see it? What's your take on what Francis did?
Dean kind of pointed this out to me that he's like, yeah, so if it, he's like, it has to be about the money because he's going to go to any other organization and get the same shit. Still no insurance, still no like fighter advocate, nothing like besides the sponsors, it's like you're still going to deal with the exact same shit in every single promotion. It's like, it's just, I love what he was doing and I love the message behind it, but it's just like, I feel like it has like minimal backing, you know, it's going to be hard. Something that's very hard to pull off.
2 things you said there. One, so funny you said that about Dean. He made such a dope post. I don't know if you saw it this morning. He tagged Fight Bananas in it. So like, I got it right away about like, it is fucking crazy. It drives me crazy as a person or someone who wants to make money watching the UFC and covering the UFC, and you make money while working in the UFC. And so many people, fans, quotation marks, like shit on the company and like, oh, they don't do this and Dana's this and the UFC's this. But then of course, and then Dean posted about like every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Where's every motherfucking fan that's complaining about the company? They're watching the UFC. And like, no, like I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any other promotion. I love the PFL. The PFL is so good to myself and Fight Bananas as a company. But like everyone doesn't watch every PFL. Everyone doesn't watch every Bellator boxing. But of a pay-per-view like this weekend, everyone's talking about Glover Teixeira and Jamal Hill and Shogun Rua's last fight, and even the prelims. Like everyone's talking about the UFC. Like, why do so many people shit on it and then they consume it? It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I'm like, I feel like it's such a touchy subject to say like how fighters should be paid or shouldn't paid or like whatever. It's just, I saw it actually. I think it was Kat Zingano posted this where she was like, why does everybody care so much about fighter pay? She's like, why is this such a big, like, you guys are still like you said, supporting the fights, watching the fights, everything like that. She's like, why is it such like a public thing? Like, why, like, it's more than just the fighters.
No, it's such a good point. Like, other than the major sports and like when a big free agent, like if Tom Brady goes to another team and then you like hear his deal, like you don't talk a lot about Tom Brady and like in the middle of the season about how much he makes. Like it's just not like a topic. But like you said, yeah, like all the time fighters do. And of course, I don't have to tell you this. No one, like I don't think a lot of the fans understand how tough it is on the regional scene on the way up to the UFC. You know, like I don't want to pull too much of the curtain. Like fighters do not make money at all. Like it's so minuscule what they make until they get in the UFC, especially when you start winning fights and you get multiple contracts. And of course no one needs to know how much you make on a daily basis or whatever, but like your contract now is way better than it was when you debuted after Tough. Like that's just a kind of part of the thing. If you're good, and when we set records in the UFC, like we make more money. That's just how it is.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't, like you said, on the regional scene, it's tough. And not even just talking about money, talking about how the promotions run. I'm like, I feel like it's hard to find a regional promotion that's not a shit show. I'm like, from the time you weigh in, where like you're showing up at weigh-ins on weight at 5 o'clock and your opponent doesn't show up till like 7 or 8 and you're sitting there starving for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Or like, even just the time you have to fight. Sometimes, like, I've known regional promotions where guys are like wrapping their hands. They're like, all right, you're up now. And they're like, oh shit, like I'm up. You have no notice. You're just kind of like going. Where the UFC is just so professional. Yeah. Everything's on time. You know when you're going to fight. You know everything that's going to happen. Like, it's just such a professional promotion to work for. And I can't complain about fighter play. I feel like I get to do what I love every single day and I'm getting paid decent. So I'm like, I don't, there's no gripe from my side.
And I have one more thing about Francis, so I don't want to forget it, but kind of just going on what you said. Like, and also too, we all know, and we've talked for a long time now, for multiple years on air and off air, like you're still like not where you want to be yet. Like you're like you said, you're making good, you're working every day, you want 3 fights a year. If you go on a 3-fight win streak in the strawweight division or a 5-fight win streak or go back to flyweight, like not even that, the winning and of course the win money, but the bigger fights you're going to get sooner or later, it is Aaron Blanchfield on top, or of course a champion, a Wei Lee, or what, or you did challenge Rose Namajunas twice in one night. So what, like, that might happen, but it's just like, it's crazy that fighters, like, if you win and especially win, and even if you're just decent marketability, and I don't mean like you don't have to be Colby Covington, just like interact with the fans and talk with people and go on shows. Like if you just do that, like, and fight well, win it 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 or 3 out of 5, whatever it is, like you're going to be okay. Like the UFC will take care of you. I think that's actually a little underrated. Last thing about Francis is he was so on about sponsors, right? Like, and he was so like, hey, they don't give us sponsors on money. Like, dude, how much do sponsors give on fight night? It's always like, it's a little bit, and it does help. But also, if you're Conor McGregor, right, like you have Proper 12, which has become like a sponsor of your own company. If you become that big, Jorge Masvidal has his tequila business that he makes a buckload of money. It's like, Francis, you're worrying. I feel like he's worrying about like a $30,000 sponsorship and walking over $1 million tequila business. Or like, if imagine if Francis Ngannou is the UFC heavyweight champion, defeats, knocks out John Jones, fights Stipe in a trilogy, beats him, and then that Sergey Pavlovich, who looks like a fucking monster, beats him and goes like, dude, Francis is the greatest UFC heavyweight ever. Like, that guy's, he never has to work again. Like, he will have that forever. They offered him $8 million a fight, so that's $24 million for those next 3 fights. And just imagine if he wins 2 out of those 3, or all 3, for goodness sake, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Like, he's a made man. It's like, I don't want to shit on Francis, and that's what it sounds like, but it's just like, come on, it's not just 100 to a 0.
That's another point that Dean made when I was talking to him is, oh, fuck, I completely lost my train of thought there.
Fighter pay, Dean, sponsors.
The sponsors specifically there. He was talking about how it's like, what does the UFC get out of fighters getting sponsors? Like, if you look at like NFL, like Super Bowl commercials, sponsors are paying big money to be able to get on a commercial. It's like, if like his argument was, if the UFC is going to allow sponsors on your shorts, then they should have to pay the UFC as well. It's like you're using their promotion, their TV time to display the product.
Dude, you're so on this, and I can't believe we're 16 minutes into it. We'll just keep going because your point's so well. Like, no one. So maybe Francis, when you get to that level, you're in the main event, and you're not Conor or Masvidal yet, but you're not a prelim guy. So maybe there's a little bit of like, wow, they could be underpaid, but no one like Francis Ngannou. When he first signed with the UFC, and he was literally the first fight of a prelim in Orlando. I was at that show live. He was the very first fight. I didn't go to that UFC event for Francis Ngannou. Like, he could have been a complete mystery guy. He could have wore a mask. I did not give a fuck about Francis Ngannou, but the UFC paid him more than any other organization in the world that night. And then he won and kept on building and building. Without the UFC, and no offense to Francis, and I know this sounds so bad, sounds like we're so one-sided, but without the UFC's platform, there is no Francis Ngannou. Like, you know, is Francis Ngannou who he is in Bellator? Like,
yeah. No, it's like, it's kind of like you look at a lot of the Bellator champs, and people are like, oh, well, what would they do in the UFC, though? It's like people only care about what would happen. Like, the UFC champions are looked at as, like, the champions. You know, every other promotion, it's like, Oh, how would they do in the UFC though?
Right. All right. Wow. There we go. We did it. That was a lot more than I thought. All Francis, John Jones is back. To me, inside that cage, Gillian, I don't know if you feel this way or not, and we've actually like never really talked about it. Inside the cage, he's the greatest mixed martial artist I've ever seen. I remember his first UFC fight ever. He was on a prelim. I remember telling my friends like, wow, he's going to be a future champion. I think I kind of nailed that. A lot of the shit outside the cage, of course, you know, it's fucked up or some shit I don't even agree with, but inside that cage, he's the greatest I've ever seen. He's back. How good is that for the UFC? How good is that for John? Are you happy to see John Jones back in the main event?
I'm super happy to see John Jones back, honestly. Like, I've always considered him one of the GOATs, one of the greatest. Once he's in the cage, obviously. Outside the cage, you're kind of like, let me just like turn my head, not look at that. It's definitely
he's like one of your kids that you love dearly, but fucks up, and you're like, God dang it! Like,
it's like again.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm super excited for his comeback. I feel like there's few fighters who have an intelligence like he does in the cage. He's just so smart about everything he does, and I'm excited to see what he does in this matchup.
Super early. Who wins, Jones versus Gane?
I would side with Jones. Even the only thing that makes me like question a little bit is how long he's been gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's been out. He hasn't fought in at least 3-4 years, I think it's been.
It was, I saw a post, the UFC post, it was like 1,141 days not in the cage.
Yeah, so it's like that's.
We still got 2 months.
Yeah, it's just a long time to not compete. So it's like that's the only thing that I'm really like debating in that matchup is Ciryl Gane's been competing. He knows the scene where it's kind of just a fresh look for John now.
Yeah, for sure. And then like we had never seen him as a heavyweight, so until we see him, it's like almost something new. 2 other fights that were announced a couple days later on that same card. 2 female championship fights. 2 females that we've talked about on podcast 1 to now podcast 26. One, it looks like the co-main event will be Amanda Nunes defending her title against Irene Aldana, where that came out of nowhere. I'm actually a big Irene Aldana fan, but just did not see that fight coming to be. And then, of course, the featured fight will be the UFC, probably the second greatest female flyweight in the history. Maybe, I know the first, Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso, which, like, I don't know. Like, I saw that. I was like she got the chance. She got it. Like, I'm happy for her. It's kind of cool, unique fights and matchups. When you first saw those fight announcements on Fight Bananas, of course, what did you think of? What was the first thing came to your head?
First, with the Grasso fight, like you said, you were kind of like surprised. That was my first thought too. Yeah. So I went and I looked at the rankings, and it does make sense on where she's ranked and who's above her. Because I think it's like Tyler Santos and Caitlin Chukagian, and there's somebody else maybe that's above her. She might be ranked 4 or 5, I'm not sure. But it was like all people who Valentina's challenged recently, so it did make sense for them to be matchups. But honestly, both those girls, Alexa and Irina, I'm huge fans of. I love watching them both fight. I feel like they both have very crisp, clean boxing, always go in there for a scrap. They're always down to fight, just stay in the pocket. It's just, I don't know if these are good matchups for them. I'm like, if these girls, like if Amanda and Valentina, which I do expect them to beat them on the feet, if not, they're just they just have so many more options to win the fight. I feel like Valentina and Amanda could, with both these girls, could take them down and finish the fight too if they wanted. So, yeah, I just feel like they have a lot more options for finishes, and I think they're gonna retain the belts for right now.
You know, if you like to bet, and if you do like to bet, hey, go to the MMAshark.com, use that new promo code at the bottom, 2023 bananas. But if you had $10,000 and they said, hey, Jillian, you have to go put all $10,000 on both girls retaining or one crazy upset, you don't have to pick each one, but just hopefully Grasso or Aldana beats one of the champs, where do you put your $10,000 in?
I think they both retain it. If I had to pick one of them, I would say I think Grasso has a higher chance.
Ooh.
I don't see Irene. Like, I just feel like Amanda's Amanda. Like, you can't take anything away from her. She just has so much power. She's good everywhere. And I just feel like no female is really in her, like, range at this moment.
That's funny you say that. And usually you and I agree immensely. I'm going to disagree on that point, and this is why. if I think both of them are going to win too. Like I'm huge on Valentina and Amanda retaining pretty easily. But if one of them won, I would think Aldana, who to me is like a better striker and with a little bit more weight, like you can see one of those kind of like one punch and like, whoa, the fight changed. Even if she doesn't knock her out, but like Amanda just never kind of recovers or something of that nature. And I just don't see Grasso be able to do that one thing to Valentina. So I think if I had to lean one or the other, I think I do lean Aldana. But like I said, Amanda and Valentina, put them in a parlay, 99.9% we're going to see and still. So, all right. UFC 283, like it's this weekend. Here we go. They're in Brazil. Really cool card. So when the main event of the last pay-per-view, Bonhovic and Ankalaev went into a draw, and then hours later, Dana White in the press conference is like, hey, what do you guys think about Glover Teixeira, Jamal Hill, the next pay-per-view? Now it's finally here. Glover Teixeira is the underdog, a little bit more of a grappling guy. I would think you're leaning Glover. That's just my take. Where do you have Glover and Jamal Hill?
I feel like this fight goes drastically either one way or the other.
Yes, yeah.
I feel like it's either Glover can get him down and he's just going to manhandle him on the floor, or Jamal is going to tag him and Glover can't handle those shots. So I think I don't know. I don't see it going clearly either way, but I feel like if whatever way it goes, it's not going to be a close fight. It's going to go like drastically one way or the other.
I so agree. Yeah, we agree. This fight, I think, will not go to the third round. Like Jamal's going to be able to get Glover standing, hit him easy over and over again, and Jamal will win. Or like the one thing I threw out there, I've been talking to a couple people today, and maybe this is just me overthinking it, me sitting in my chair, not fighting. Like Jamal Hill, literally 3 weeks ago, was maybe going to fight Anthony Smith in the spring. And then all of a sudden he gets a phone call and same thing with you, G. Like if they call you right now and they say, hey, Gillian, March 5th, you versus Valentina Shevchenko for the championship. What's your answer?
I feel like, I don't know. I feel like that's a tough question because I don't know.
Oh my God, I thought you'd say yes in a second.
No, I wouldn't. I don't feel like I'm ready for that matchup at this moment.
Okay.
I don't feel like I'm ready for title contention. Whereas like someone like Jamal Hill might have been in a little bit of a different spot.
Right. I agree. But I think my platform is he gets the phone call. He says yes immediately. And like now he's fighting Glover Teixeira in Brazil in the main event. And I know Jamal Hill's been in the main event before, but like never fought for a championship. This is a big fucking fight to headline a pay-per-view. His face is on the poster. Like it's a lot. And especially him fighting in Brazil. I think, and this just is my gut feeling, I think Jamal Hill will have like a total adrenaline dump. Like I think 2 minutes into that fight, like he's going to be sucking for air. It's not like he has bad cardio. I just think it's a real person thing. It's first time ever fighting for the title, main event, Glover Teixeira, Hall of Famer, a kind of a legend in the sport. It's a big fucking deal. In Brazil, I think that's like it's insane. It's big. So I think my sense is he's going to throw heavy shots at the beginning. Glover will move, kind of, take him, just defend. I think he's going to get an adrenaline dump, and then Glover's going to get on him, on his back, on top, on the floor, and then that's it. I think we saw what he did to Jan Blachowicz. I see a lot of that.
No, I agree with you 100% on that. I feel like Jamal, like all in his interviews and everything like that, he's not really showing that. He's really quite composed this week and looking good. But I also feel like he won't feel the pressure until he's in there. It's once he's in the cage, that's when the pressure is going to set in on him. And it just depends on how he handles it in that moment.
Right. And I kind of also got into this too. And like, I don't know how you feel about it. And I like Glover. I've talked to Glover. He's been on podcasts multiple times. I'm a Glover guy. I think the UFC would love, if I could just say bluntly, they would love Jamal Hill to win this fight. I think he's new blood. He's kind of fun. His social media is awesome. He's really funny. I think like they would like a new star and new blood. And if he's the champ, dude, him versus Ankalaev is new. Him versus Jan is new. Him versus Yuri, of course, is brand new. I even threw out there, you know who the last person who defeated Jamal Hill?
Yeah, Paul Craig.
Paul Craig. He's on the same fucking card fighting Johnny Walker. What if he taps out Johnny Walker? Like, wouldn't that be dope if Jamal Hill gets on the mic and goes, my last loss is him. Like, he has my arm. I want that shit back. Like, how cool would it be, like, in the spring, early summer, Jamal Hill versus Paul Craig? Like, that's tight. I like that. It's new.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, I I've never seen anything as gross as that fight. I don't think. When yeah, he breaks his arm and then it's just flopping there, and the ref doesn't notice. I'm like, please stop it.
And Jamal Hill, like, I actually, like, that was the night I was like, dude, I like that guy. Like, he didn't give a fuck. Like, he was like, oh, that happened. I wasn't going to tap. I got myself in a shit situation. It's crazy. Yeah.
Oh, it gives me chills thinking about it. But
probably tomorrow on our Instagram on Fight Bananas, we're going to post a video. It's so bad, G. It's I've never seen it. We have people looking on social media for stuff to post all day long. It's like it's a female fight. And this girl, it's like almost it feels like it's in Combate or some kind of organization like that. She's in this armbar. She doesn't tap, and it's the nastiest sound. And also, it's the arm. It doesn't flop at the elbow. It kind of flops towards the meat of the muscle. It's like, holy shit. I've never seen anything like it. Insane.
I'm like, outside the cage, I can't deal with that shit. I'm like, inside the cage, I'm like, why won't this bitch's arm break? Like, what way can I bend it? And then outside the cage, I'm like, oh, that was gross.
Afterwards, then you would look and flick off the camera. Like, you're not even the same person inside the cage. Love it.
I was about to say, we don't know who that is. We don't bring her up.
Also, by the way, I see that your name is not, it's correctly Savage. It's not Sav with a big A. Like, that didn't last long.
I had to change it up for a week, you know? Needed something new.
Co-main event. This is the fight. I'm not even going to try to be smarter than the other person. I have no idea. Figueiredo versus Morano for the fourth time. It's 1-1-1. I hear both sides when someone does pick one way. I got no idea. I'm off on it. You're the fighter. Who do you have? You got Davison or you got Brandon?
I do think overall Brandon is the better fighter.
Okay.
But I think he falls into Figueiredo's like game plan, like kind of falls into the brawl and tries to out tough him a lot of times.
Yeah.
But I think Brandon, if he fought his game, he would win the fight every time.
I kind of agree. I was leaning Brandon a lot, and then they're in Brazil. I think that's kind of big for Davison Figueiredo. Same kind of thing all week. I've been kind of watching a lot of his socials. Charles Oliveira is there and in his corner. Looks like the weight cut's going really good. We won't really know until tomorrow morning. But so far, the weight cut looks awesome. And that was always like his biggest hurdle because he's such a big flyweight. He should be a bantamweight. He should. But if he gets that weight cut and he feels good and he's at home, that's a big thing. And also, too, the last little thing, and I've been keeping this secret, I feel like, inside me. I feel like the UFC has, with the scoring, they're really changing about damage, the whole Paddy to Gordon thing, where I feel like we're going to watch the fight. If it goes all 25 minutes, be like, oh, Brandon won. And then I feel like Davison's going to win the decision because, like, when Davison does throw, he just throws heavier and bigger, and he does, like, a more damage guy, where Brandon's like, pop, 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 in, out, boom, boom, and just, like, leg kick, knee, going for grappling. Like, he's more active and, like you said, I think a better mixed martial artist. But the UFC is, like, totally in this damage thing right now. I think like Davison's going to win a decision. That's like my gut feeling.
No, I could 100% see something like that happening, especially like I feel like he walks forward a lot. He just he looks like the aggressor, even if he's not necessarily winning.
Right, exactly. The next three fights, probably the featured fight's really cool. Gilbert Burns versus Neil Magny. Neil Magny is one of the most underrated fighters in the whole roster. Literally the most welterweight wins in the history of the sport. More than Usman, more than GSP, more than Matt Hughes. That's Neil Magny. Shogun Rua's last fight. We got Paul Craig, Johnny Walker, and then Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy. Gave you a lot there. We're 30 minutes in, so I wanted to speed it up a little bit. Where are you at on those fights? Is there a couple you like for sure out of those?
I'm a huge Paul Craig fan. So I feel like against Johnny Walker, that's a very interesting matchup where it's just like, I feel like it's kind of classic striker versus grappler. Yep. Johnny Walker being the crazy, like out there striker, going to come at him with a lot and just see how he handles. Like, I feel like anybody who can pull guard in an MMA fight, I respect him. I'm like, it takes a lot of balls and Paul's willing to do that always and just attack from his back. So I love watching him compete. And then the Lauren Murphy and Andrade fight, I just feel like it's an interesting matchup. I guess it's kind of like the Brandon Moreno and Figueiredo in the sense that I feel like Lauren's better, but Andrade just has that power. She's just so powerful in so many ways. So I feel like I don't know. I'm curious to see how that one plays out.
Yeah, I'm with you. I am. I'm like, I think like I think Jessica Andrade, and I know it's oversaid sometimes. I think she's one of the most underrated female fighters ever. Like she's so damn good. She's been a champ. She's fought like the toughest girl. She's been in that top 3, top 5 in 2 different weight classes. Her fight against Rose was awesome. I think Jessica will get it done, but like Lauren is that gritty veteran that if like Jessica has an off night or doesn't do that Hulk and get that knockout, like Lauren can stay around and kind of make it wild. Also, like, I gave Neil his flowers there. I think Gilbert Burns puts him away. I think Gilbert Burns is another level. I think he's a better striker. I think he's got more power. And then, of course, I think his ground game is better. I love Gilbert Burns in this spot back home in Brazil.
No, I agree with that. And like you said earlier, the fact that it's in Brazil really does, I feel like, pose a huge mental element for all the fighters who aren't Brazilian, because there's just something different about the Brazilian crowd, chanting out, walking out, hearing them chant "You will die" in Portuguese. Yes. It's just something special about that adds a little bit of pressure on your shoulders.
That, and I feel like, imagine, because all 5 fights, they could go Johnny Walker, then to Jessica Andrade, then to Gilbert, then to Davison, and then to Glover. Like they really could build this momentum of kind of like what I feel like that's what London did. And that's why like that card was so cool in March. Like Molly McCann gets the knockout, then Patty does it, then Arnold Allen, then Tom Allen. It was just this build of their guys winning. I feel like we can see that in Saturday. And I really feel we're going to see, I think Brazil's going to show up. I really do. I think it's going to be a big night for them.
No, I think Brazil, at least the crowd always shows up in Brazil. I'm like, I think the intensity in that arena, like you said, with so many Brazilian cards on so many Brazilian fighters on the card, it's just going to get crazier and crazier through the night.
For sure. All right. That's it. 33 minutes. We went through it. We bashed Francis NGannou for 10 minutes. We, with the new female fights with Amanda, Adana, Shevchenko, and Grasso. We went to John Jones, UFC 283. 2 last little things, just kind of Mic Cuddles stuff. One is next week, want to record. We'll have another show to be episode 27. And then the week after that, probably take a break because I'm leaving early Thursday to go to Island fights. So that will, maybe next week will be a little bit more about that. And maybe, like I said, I think, I'll give Dean Thomas an old call. Maybe we'll get old Dean Thomas on. Maybe we can really kind of go into that UFC and sponsorship and all that. I think that'll be kind of like a fun topic, or someone else, maybe someone from the GOAT. The last thing I want to say to you, because you and I talked, it was CJ Brandt who fought an LFA. I know he looked good. He looked great. The first 2 minutes, he looked awesome, but you can just tell it was his first pro fight. It looked like he did the Jamal Hill thing. It looked like he just gassed out a little bit. Which, have you talked to him since? What did the gym kind of talk about that fight?
No, I think we're kind of in the same agreement. He took that fight kind of short notice. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks notice for his first pro fight. Yeah. So I think just going out there, it's like what you said. He was a little bit too excited. He was ready for the knockout to come, and when it didn't come so fast, I feel like that's when he was like a little bit gassed, a little bit adrenaline dump. But I think that's someone that he beats like 9 times out of 10. Like I still feel like he wins that fight. It's just it's all a learning experience. I'm like, I feel like I've been in the UFC since I was 22. So I feel like I've learned a lot on the big stage, but yes. I'm like, it's just every single fight, every single loss is like, it means so much. And I feel like you can just get so much out of it. And even, I feel like I've been lucky to do that, with the experiences that I've had, but, yeah, it's all a learning process. I'm like, I lost my first pro fight.
Damn. Phil Rowe went 0-2.
And a lot of people, it's like, you don't have to have a perfect record to be like, when Oliveira was champion, nobody gave a fuck that I think he has like 7 or 8 losses, maybe. Yeah. Nobody gives a fuck because he was on a killer win streak. So that's all it's ever about, is like, get that win streak started.
The biggest names in this sport, I would argue, is Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, and Jorge Masvidal. I can't tell you the record. Like, I can't. I don't know how many losses they have. It felt like all 3 of them were on losing streaks. No one cares. They're the biggest names in the sport. They will main event any card on any show in the world. So that's the fight game. It's like, if you show up, show them your personality. If you connect with the people, you do it. So, hey, that's Gillian in around 4 years, 3-4 years, the biggest name in the sport.
Yeah, hopefully, I'll get my liquor company started and shit. No. I'm like, we're trying to get into the weed business over here.
I know, I was gonna say that. They ain't
Yeah.
no fucking liquor company, Jillian. Come on now. We're gonna have like a big weed farm in the background.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my own strain. We're gonna go big with this. Oh shit, I'm losing my camera because my dog jumped up.
I do. We can, the Savage strain. I like it. There you go. All right, we're ending it. 35 minutes in. Gillian the Savage Robertson, episode 26, UFC 283 Saturday. Next week, we're coming back, and then we're going to do a little break because we're going to be together. Maybe we'll do, I don't know, we'll do some fun stuff in Pensacola.
Sounds good. Maybe a live podcast.
Gee whiz. All right. She's the best. Later, guys.